Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another edition of With the Prophet. I'm Ali Coleman. I'll be your host for today's episode. Thank you for being with us as we continue to look at ways, guidelines, assistance that we're looking at how we can stay with the Prophet in our lives, looking at the example of the Sunnah, specifically how the Prophet managed the relationships with the people around him, peace be upon him. Our guest from Saudi Arabia, Sheikh Assim Alhakeem. Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. Look forward to another interesting discussion. As we promised in our last episode, we have one more segment or episode dealing with servants.
Okay.
And we spent a lot of time. It was a very great conversation. Lots of good feedback we got regarding the slaves and the servants. And you did a great job. We look forward to it again today. In the modern workplace, corporations spend lots of money and time keeping their staff professionally trained. And that's not just about their job performance, their job knowledge. It's also about the work environment, the people skills, maintaining a high morale and a healthy workplace, interpersonal relationships between co-workers. And so one of the subtopics within people skills for managers in particular has to do with counseling people, identifying mistakes, encouraging them, giving them a systematic process for an opportunity for improving. We want to look at the example of the Prophet in this regard in dealing with his servants, peace be upon him. How did he respond when his servants made mistakes? And surely they did. I mean, human beings make mistakes. So in this relationship he had with his servants, and controlling his anger, working with them, encouraging them, giving them opportunities to improve.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi al-Amin. Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. This is a very wide topic. And seriously, I love this topic because it deals with management.
All right.
Managing people is an art, it's a gift, before it's a science. It is something that Allah Azza wa Jal gives to individual. You might find someone well-educated, well-experienced, but has bad ways of dealing with others. And impulsive, not kind. I remember working about 10, 12, maybe more years ago in a pipe company, a global international pipe company.
Okay.
The CEO, who I used to report to, was a very good Saudi, well-educated, mashallah, and religious. One of the best characters in him, that after the Eid vacation, Eid holidays, so the first day back to work, he used to leave his office. He's the CEO.
Yeah.
And he has 34 factories under him. He used to leave his office and goes around the administration building and the nearby factories, shaking hands with the janitors, with the gardeners, with the coffee boy, with every young and old employee of the company, giving them greeting of Eid. Why would anyone do that? It is something built in him. This is how he was raised by his parents. And that is why everyone loved him. Now, to go a little bit higher and greater, how did the Prophet ﷺ, who was number one in the Muslim state, the judge, the leader, the teacher, the imam, the prophet, the messenger, the husband of 9, the father of so many, the grandfather of so many, the companion. He had so many things to do. Yet, in an authentic hadith, the Jew servant that we talked about fell sick one day. So what? He's a Jew. The hell with him. Nope. This is not the attitude. The Prophet ﷺ, with his position, went to his house. To a house of a Jew? Yes. And he went in and visited this poor boy. But he utilized his visit to what Allah Azza wa Jal had sent him for. So it's not just a cordial visit a social visit, he said to the boy, "Boy, accept Islam." So the boy looked at his father, who's a Jew.
Mm-hmm. It's a Jewish home.
Yeah, and the father said, "Obey Abul Qasim. Obey his instruction. I know that he is the Prophet of Allah. I can't help accepting Islam because of so many factors. Among them is I'm a disbeliever. But you, my son, obey him." So the boy says, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." The Prophet went out of the home happy, with a big smile, saying, "Praise be to Allah who saved this boy from hell through me." So who would visit his servant in his home and give him da'wah other than the Prophet ﷺ?
Yeah. Wow. What was that Jewish servant's name?
We don't have any recollection of it.
Ah, I see.
See, so many things in Islam may not be mentioned to us in details because it's insignificant. For example, someone tells us that the dog that was with the youth, the youngsters in the cave, was it a Chihuahua, a Doberman, German Shepherd?
Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Yeah.
So Islam does not tell us about it. The planet that Ibrahim saw, peace be upon him, and said that this is my Lord. Was it Jupiter? Was it Mars? Was it this or that?
Right. It could also, in this case, just speculation on my part, it could also be a form of protection. If they're mentioned by name, then it could lead to trouble for their descendants, maybe?
No. This is unimaginable because everything is mentioned to us. But things that are not, then they have no significance for us. Now, the Prophet ﷺ not only visited his servants, he used to check up upon them. Now, I have servants, I have drivers, I have subordinates, and I can see that there's something wrong. Usually I would neglect it. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. So why should I open the Pandora box and then he complains to me, I have debts, I have problems, I have illnesses, I have headaches. Let it be. But this is not the right thing to do. A proper manager, a proper leader checks upon his
when
followers.
You say checks, you're not going to look over their shoulders while they're preparing the camel.
No. What I meant is to care for them and look for their needs.
I see.
So, for example, he would give dua, supplicate. And we know that when the Prophet supplicates, it's crystal clear that it will be answered on the spot. So Sulaim brings the Prophet's to the Prophet ﷺ, her son Anas. After a while, after serving him, she says, "O Prophet of Allah, your servant Anas, now as a form of incentive and bonus, make dua for him." So the Prophet raises his hands and said, "O Allah, increase his wealth, prolong his life, and forgive his sins." Anas says that when he narrates this hadith, that look at me, I am well into my 90s. He was one of the latest of the companions to die.
Long life.
Yeah. So Allah answered number one. And look at my wealth. All people's farms in Medina produce once a year. Mine produce twice a year. And the Prophet said, increase his offspring. And I've buried from my children and my grandchildren more than 100. And I am hopeful and wishful in the fourth thing, which is, may Allah forgive his sins, to be answered.
So this was a request, a supplication to Allah made by the Prophet ﷺ for his servant, and late into his years, he see all these things
coming to life and being answered. Not only that, even if you look at Rabi'a ibn Ka'b, he was one of the servants of the Prophet ﷺ, and he used to be in charge of the water for performing ablution and answering the call of nature. So he used to always prepare this to the Prophet ﷺ. One day, the Prophet looked at him and said, ask me. Ask anything you want. So the man, instead of saying, listen, I'd like this building on 54th Street, or I like a plot of land, or I like to get married to a beautiful woman, or I like money. No, the only thing that the man said, he said, I ask from you that I become your companion in Jannah. So the Prophet says, alayhi salam, anything else? And the man said, no, this is all what I want in this life. So the Prophet said, no problem, offer as many prayers as you can, voluntary, because this would make you attain Jannah and be my companion. The point is that the Prophet did not neglect the needs of his servants. He was asking them.
Physical needs, emotional, spiritual needs, in the same way that he was a complete man in his interaction with people, peace be upon him, also addressed the people at all the levels of their being.
He would not ignore them.
Okay, well, good stopping point. We're ready for our break, and we will come back to continue the remainder of the episode. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to With the Prophet. Sheikh, let's please continue our conversation. We had talked about beautiful examples from the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. What about when his servants made mistakes? And certainly they did. What was his response like?
Well, this again is shocking news. Someone in the magnitude of the Prophet ﷺ, in his position, you would expect that there is no room for mistakes. It's a zero tolerance policy. You make a mistake, I'll chop your head off. He's a tyrant, he is bloodthirsty, he's so-and-so, astaghfirullah. This is what the kafir, the disbelievers, accuse of Prophet ﷺ. And those who do not read his biography and learn how he used to deal and treat with others may tend to fall weak and believe some of this. The Prophet ﷺ was so soft-hearted that when people made mistakes, he forgave them and pardoned them. Anas tells us that the Prophet once ﷺ told me to do something for him. He sent me on an errand. So I went, and on the way I saw the boys playing, like football or whatever. So as a kid, I joined in.
Okay.
And like an hour later, while I was playing, I felt someone holding me from the back of my neck. And I looked, it was the Prophet ﷺ, who was laughing and with a big smile. And he said, Anas, did you do what I tell you to do? And I said to him, yes, O Prophet of Allah, I'm on my way. And I ran away. So the Prophet kept on laughing. He did not reprimand him. He did not say to him, why you did not do this. On the contrary, it's a big smile. And he appreciated the ability of this person, this individual. This is something we fail big time in appreciating. In the sense that I've seen a brother once ordering some food from the restaurant. And the driver brought the food to him and he found things missing. He was shouting his head off on the phone. Why don't you understand? I told you this. Are you stupid?
Right.
And I'm telling this brother, Akhi, why are you doing this?
We've all seen that, yeah.
He says, no. So many times I tell him to do something, he doesn't do it. Akhi, this guy is a driver. His job description states that he drives and brings things. He's not a rocket scientist. He's not a politician. He's not a doctor. So you have to speak to him in his level. This is his capabilities, intellectual abilities. So you have to put yourself in their shoes. You have to go down to their level. And this, unfortunately, is not found among the Muslims in general, especially, and among the people in general. which means that we have shortcomings when it comes to practicing Islam. The Prophet ﷺ was once asked, O Prophet of Allah, how many times do we pardon the slave, the servant? Now this is a servant that you own, huh? Not the normal slave, the normal servant. He's a slave.
Okay.
So the Prophet did not answer. The guy said again, how many times should we pardon the servant? The Prophet did not answer. The third time, he said, O Prophet of Allah, how many times do we overlook, do we pardon our servants when they do mistakes?
Yeah.
The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, 70 times a day.
Okay. Just
Come
a symbolic number.
70 times. We can't even do it once. So this shows you that Islam highlights the disability of some servants from being as perfect as we want them to be, but it also highlights the importance of our forgiveness, our overlooking their mistakes when they do some.
You know, there are many benefits that we take for granted in the time that we live in. Minimum wage, the 5-day work week, the 40-hour week, having time off. All these things had to be fought for, and it was a long struggle. People died. But we have them now, nonetheless. And a part of that is also a right to be paid for work that's been performed. In my country, I have never experienced the situation of working and not being paid. It happens, though. There are cases that make their way through the legal system. People are trying to be cheated. You know, it's human nature. I have seen this more in developing countries, where people are working, they're working hard, and they're not being paid. Or their pay will come 2 weeks late and it's only half, or something like this. Even in some Islamic organizations. Please, you know, I'd like for you to address this. First of all, the Prophet, peace be upon him, what was his way in terms of compensating those who he was obliged to compensate financially? And then if you could address the modern times that we're living in, even especially for Muslims, Islamic organizations who are struggling in the economic situation.
Well, first of all, as stated earlier, the Prophet ﷺ did not employ servants.
Okay.
So they worked voluntarily and without any compensation. No payment was given to them, and they were happy with that. Nevertheless, if you want to look at what Islam says, you'll find that it gives you the perfect relationship between an employee and his employer, in the sense that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, give the one who does work for you his wages before his sweat dries.
This is according to?
The Prophet
himself
this
said
is hadith.
This.
So he said that you must, it is the employee's right to be paid before his sweat dries. Meaning if someone carries a load for me, a porter, a driver, a worker, and he does work for me, he has to be paid on the spot.
That means promptly.
Yeah, and not even for his sweat to have time to dry. And also the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that Allah the Almighty said, 3, on the Day of Judgment, I'll be their opponent. When Allah is your opponent, you are in great loss.
Yeah.
One of them is someone who employed some person and did not give him his wages. Nowadays, I look to my country, where I come from, to the Arab world, to the Muslim world, and unfortunately, we come back to the issue of the frame and the photograph.
Yeah.
Yes, we are Muslims by name, but we're not walking the talk. We have companies, construction companies. We have establishments. We have organizations that employ people, and they would not give them their salaries for 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Not because the owner doesn't have money, but simply he has other businesses. Or he says, if the government pays me, I will pay you because I'm doing a construction for the government. And the government itself may delay and postpone giving these payments to the contractors for a few months, 6, 7, and they don't have a bank to give from. So they have to wait. But this is unjustifiable. It's not my job that the government did not pay you. You employed me, you pay me.
How prevalent would you say that this is a problem among Arab and Muslim countries, to the best of your understanding?
It is a big problem.
Okay.
It is there. No one can deny it.
Okay.
However, this injustice is not only in the Arab and the Muslim world, it's also in the United States. You have illegal Mexican workers who do not get paid correctly and may be deprived from what their rights are simply because they're illegal. In the UK, I have so many problems coming to me from illegal workers or from employees who do not want to register the workers on their records and pay them through the bank so that of the fear of taxation.
You're right, it's a big issue.
So it's there, but having said that, we Muslims do not care about others. We care about what our religion states, and we have shortcomings. This is wrong. The Prophet totally prohibited, alayhi salatu wasalam, and he emphasized on the danger of not paying your servant their dues on time.
We are running out of time very quickly. We got about 2.5 minutes left. A few things I want to get to, and you can choose. There's this subject of concubines, and I'd like for you to address the male versus female servants, and also, thirdly, it's a lot, you can choose, the sensitivity, the sensitivity that the Prophet had towards his servants. They had children that needed to be provided for. The image that they had before the community, was he embarrassing them or giving them opportunities to look good, to so on and so forth?
First of all, the Prophet ﷺ was an advocate of so-called human rights in an Islamic way. He defended the weak. And the weaker the segment of society is, the stronger he becomes defending them. And this is obvious when it comes to women, to children, and obviously to servants. Anas ibn Malik tells us that whenever the Prophet ﷺ asked me, instructed me to do something, and I fell short from fulfilling it, my relatives, my mother, my neighbors, those around me would blame me big time. Oh, you did something evil, you did something wrong, you did not honor what the Prophet ﷺ instructed you to do, you failed in doing it. Who would come to his defense? The Prophet. Now, you would have expected that the Prophet would say, yes, that's true. They've said what I cannot say. On the contrary, the Prophet would stand up for him and say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, leave him alone. If it were distant, it would have had happened. Allah did not choose to ordain it. So, Allah did not choose to ordain it, so it didn't happen. So don't blame him. Who's defending him? The one who he fell short from doing what he ordered him to do.
Very quickly, 30 seconds. If you could address male, female servants and the modern times. Can I have a female masseuse in my home? Can she drive for me? Can I be in the pool? And all this kind of thing.
I wish. The problem is that Muslims are so far away from the teachings of their religion. This can happen with a concubine. With a slave girl that you bought, she can look at your body, she can touch you, unlike non-mahram women, because she is your possession.
Okay.
So she can do all of these things. Nowadays, people are cascading this to maids they import and they bring from other countries. They're free women. They're non-mahram to them.
So even if they're non-Muslims,
Even if they're non-Muslims,
it doesn't matter.
They cannot look at them. They cannot touch them. They cannot be alone with them. They cannot free mix with them. They are free women.
Got it. Great. We have to unfortunately end there. Thank you so much, and we look forward to our next conversation.
Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullah khair.
We will continue the show with the Prophet, inshallah. Our next subject deals with a very special segment of society, those with disabilities. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.